Hello. I'm so sorry I don't have a gear of the year or anything going on because I, as you can see, have been moving to a new place, and it's instead of putting together rigs, I have been installing washing machines and stuff. So, um, yeah, well, life happens, but I'm gladly taking this over the old space. And so here's a little bit of a different take on 2025. Things I've learned, how to make your rig work in a live setting, especially things that I haven't really heard people talk about a lot. So let's get into it. I've been playing live again, as always. Not as much, but pretty much everything I've been playing was like meaningful stuff, not just hired gun stuff, which I did do quite a bit over the last couple of years. And here's some things that I learned this year by taking the time and trying to pay attention to more things on the side. So, first thing that nobody talks about, I haven't heard anybody talk about this, is make sure the rubber feet on your amps, especially if it's vintage amps, are a little bit soft. Here's why. That was me noticing that the 20 kilogram high watt head, actually this one, started rotating on the cab because we were playing loud and that thing was moving. It started to rotate, especially if you have like droney chords that really move some air. It doesn't really matter how heavy, weighty, whatever your amp is. It's just a continuous little detachment from the cab, and that's gonna move your amp more and more. So you want to make sure to have a solid connection there. Maybe glue them down even with like double-sided tape. That might work. Or use, I don't have any of those, like moving belts, and put it on top and around your cab. I hope you could hear that, on top and around your cab, in order to fix that, because it's expensive and it's just unnecessary. So that's one thing I haven't heard anybody talk about. Second, people talk about it sometimes, but what you're hearing on YouTube and what the audience and the front of house mixer hears in the venue is just a snapshot of your tone. It's what's my microphone is picking up. So it doesn't really matter how you set up your sound in your rehearsal room, because you're getting the room sound and the whole spectrum from your cabinet. You might want to record a little bit and try out different microphones. I bought this one because a shop nearby was closing. This is an Electro Voice ND46. And it's supposed to be like a biodynamic MD421. It's not. It's just not. It's a good microphone, and it's got this little tilting feature. You can see it over here. That's nice. But it's got a pretty annoying peak. Like, for me, annoying. It might work for other people. No shade to EV. I'd like to try a bunch of different mics, but it's got like from 2 to 5K, it's got a little bit of a lift there. Not necessarily something I need, so you might want to try that stuff out. And bring your own microphones if you have different front of house mixers and stuff. So as much control as you can get over your general tone or the signal that you're sending out is good, because cabinet speakers, of course, you're keeping that the same, but microphones will color your signal a lot. Even if you compare an SM57 and an SM58, it's just the capsule. I think the thing on the top, I don't even know what it's called. That's different, still makes a difference. Personally, I prefer the 58 over the 57, but So try out different microphones, and you may want to look into that and bring your own mics. Be nice about it, and if it's disrupting the front of house mixer's workflow, then be professional and work with what you get. But you know what I mean. Next up, get your own front of house mixer. Played with a lot of different ones, and the most stress-free and most rewarding experience was working with somebody who knew the kind of music. You would think people who listen to rock music would all get in the same ballpark mixing stuff. They don't. They just don't. I mean, same with guitarists. Can take 5 people who, according to their streaming services, I don't even want to name I don't even want to address the big S in the room. Just ignore them and delete your profiles there, please. Don't give them any more money. You get 5 people with the same taste in music, and they all play guitar at a similar level. It's still going to sound radically different through the same rig, pretty sure. Same with mixers. Next up, don't let anybody stress you out about monitoring. You want to make sure you hear yourself, and that's what that time is there for. Don't be super nitpicky about everything. I mean, that's a given, and I'm pretty sure other people have addressed that as well. But what I want to say is take your comfort zone on stage. That means if you're rehearsing in a certain situation, make sure you can take that situation on stage. Like in 1 or 2 bands that I play in, we are used to the worst monitoring situations, and it's fine. So everything that we're getting live is fine. And we've played venues where we only had 1 monitor for the singer with his vocals, and the rest was all essentially the rehearsal room setup. And it worked every time because you were already used to it. If you're used to everything being fine-tuned, that's a toughie. Like it's probably not going to work every time. Which brings me to a different thing. If you're playing in-ears, don't necessarily try and tone shape your rig through in-ears, because it's just a whole different thing than it's, in my experience, and I don't want to step on any toes here, but with most bands that I've played with that are playing in-ear rigs, even if they have an amp on stage, but they are doing their tone shaping through their in-ears, it usually doesn't translate because of 2 things. One is frequency spectrum, because they usually scoop the mids because because it's just a different thing if you got it pumping right into your ear holes. And the next thing is transients. A lot of times there's just too little transient for live. It might translate over here. It's not going to translate in the room. And you're going to be left with some signal that's not going to work out of your amp, be mic'd up, but you're getting it through the in-ears. It's not going to translate in the room. Building on that, you may not want to use that much gain to begin with. If you're working with noise gates and stuff, cool. And I'm not saying this from a blues dad perspective, or you don't need that much gain. If you want to go full big muff, that's totally fine with me. I'm just saying, if you're playing louder, and you're playing at home a lot or with a load box like I am, you're gonna get a lot more feedback issues and everything, because you just don't get the response from your rig. So for live, usually you can get to a similar feel at lower gain settings, and it's gonna translate better in the room either way. Same goes for reverb and stuff. You got a room sound. The room is the instrument. You essentially, it's like a church organ. A church organ would not play or sound nearly as majestic and gigantic as it does if it weren't in that building, in that room. So you're essentially playing the venue, especially if your cab is mic'd up and it's moving air through the venue. I'm pretty sure every bass player knows about this as well. If you remove the church from the church organ, it's just going to sound like one of those things from people in the inner city. I don't know if that's a thing in the States as well, but sometimes we do have people who have like this little organ that, in the pedestrian zone in the city. So yeah, that is a different thing. Hang on, I have a list here. I'm just rambling. Okay, building on that, you don't need a lot of gain stages live, because in most cases, it's not, the difference is going to be marginal in a full mix, especially in a large room with a lot of people in there and a whole lot of variables, like a different mixer, like a different, and a sound engineer, we call them mixers here. So I'm sorry if I mix those up, pun not intended actually. There's a lot of variables there. Personally, what I like to do is I have one always on sound. If your amp is already a little bit crunchy, that's cool too. And I have, for most of what I play, it's either a rat, that's the main thing, going into that gain stage, which usually is the Fake Plastic Trees by Audio Kitchen, pushing that with a rat for a certain vibe, with Proxima, in this case, like a medium gain overdrive that's cutting a little bit of bass, or for full blast, just the Kuro filter fuzz. It's got a noise gate in it, which makes it usable in a live setting. Like, it works perfectly well, and it sounds awesome, and I've not had any issues with it at all. So those are 3 different flavors. Usually I don't even need all 3, so I replace one, and then there's just, less stuff I can accidentally kick on or off, the better. It really doesn't matter that much in a live setting. Just be choosy with what you take, and everything that you have on your live board serves a specific purpose. So don't overdo it with tons of gain stages. I mean, you can do whatever you want, but that's just my experience. Hang on. Okay, getting back to the mids thing, because again, I don't want to sound like a blues dad. Mids are important, but don't stress it too much, especially in like heavier music or indie, shoegaze, whatever kind of stuff you're playing, emo, enter a lot of different genres. People usually watch a lot of gear YouTube stuff that might be geared towards like certain blues sound, and that's a whole different relationship with mids, apart from, yes, you need mids to be heard, but I know a lot of people who just dial in their stuff way too honky, sorry for the buzzword, and it just doesn't punch live. Like, it's people are so afraid of dialing in their tone so that it's wide and a wall of sound that they are going to the opposite end of the spectrum, and it's just very honky and it doesn't really roar anymore. I'm not saying that to judge anybody's sound, and I'm not calling names or anything. That is a totally fine thing to do, and maybe sometimes I don't understand the aesthetic, so please don't feel attacked. That's just something I noticed. Also, talking with people after gigs, they're like, yeah, okay, I did that so that, because everybody's always saying that, so use your ears and sometimes maybe you have the opportunity at a sound check, if you're playing wireless or whatever, to go into the room or see how it translates in the room, like just your amp or through a microphone, and so on and so forth. Just try stuff out. That's important. That is the same thing with the in-ear thing that I mentioned earlier. One thing that everybody talks about, but it's important, pack spare stuff like patch cables and power supply maybe. maybe a DI solution if something goes wrong. I have not had that happen to me yet. Knock on. I don't have. I hope this is wood. No, I don't care. It's gonna be fine. It's gonna be fine. Triggering my OCD right now. Like Thermion Freeway, for example, is a good solution. Something that you can just easily plug into. Take your XLR cable out of your guitar cab mic and plug it in there and just go. Or if you know some of the other bands and you can use their backline, that's cool. Yeah, I think those are pretty much the technical things. Maybe there's 2 or 3 more things. One thing that's important is enjoy your rig and enjoy what you play. I don't care about that whole discussion. This is practical. You need to be only packing small stuff. If you're a hired gun and the gig calls for that simplicity, that's a whole different thing. But if you're playing in a band where you guys are you just want to have fun and you want to enjoy something, and there's just a certain attitude behind it, and it's like the gear worship or whatever, go for it. Don't be difficult to deal with. Maybe don't bring 2 or 3 full stacks, but you know what I mean. Like, if you enjoy playing big tube heads and you are reasonable with your stage volume, and by reasonable I don't mean quiet. I don't like quiet stages. I've not had any good experiences listening, or depending on the size of the stage, but listening or playing. It adds on to bring your rehearsal room on stage. Make sure you are working with a sound engineer, and it's gonna be fine. Enjoy what you play. And if you like 100-watt orange heads, maybe bring an attenuator so you can get to a middle ground. But it's all about you being inspired and not making things less inspiring or just caving into necessity, I would say. So yeah, I think those are the things that I've been learning a lot this year. I think that's pretty much it. Sorry, this is a rambling video. Again, this stuff is fun. It's supposed to be fun. If it wasn't, there wouldn't be so many of us dialing in totally unnecessary details. And thank you all for watching. I'm pretty sure this is going to be the last video of 2025 for me. I hope you all had a great year, and I wish you a great 2026 with a lot more content, a lot more releases, and health, joy, everything you guys need. I hope you all got a great 2026. See you around.